Welcome to the Restaurant Technology Guys podcast. In this episode, we are diving into the world of Pizza Inn, a legacy brand that is making a huge comeback with their Director of Marketing and Communications, Yvonne Lara. In the episode, you'll discover how this legacy brand is defining pizza buffet with its innovative campaigns and some really amazing stuff that they've done. From the I Ate Pizza at Pizza Inn campaign to their unique pizza desserts, learn how Pizza Inn captured the hearts and taste buds to reintroduce themselves to their local community. Tune in to hear about their journey and the amazing results that they've seen, which quite honestly blew me away. If you don't know me, my name is Jeremy Julian. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of CBS North Star. We sell the North Star point of sale solution for multi-units. Please check us out at cbsnorthstar.com. And now, on to the episode. Welcome back to the Restaurant Technology Guys podcast. I thank everyone out there for joining us. As I like to say each and every time, I know you guys have got lots of choices. So thanks for hanging out today. I have been waiting for this episode to talk about this brand for quite some time. Been talking to the PR firm, and I keep wondering, when am I going to get these guys on? And today is the day, apparently. So, Yvonne, why don't you introduce yourself real quick? You can give me a 30 seconds on your background, a little bit about how we came to be, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you guys have been doing at Pizza Inn and kind of all the exciting things that have been happening there.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, and so great to be on here. I'm Yvonne Lara. I run marketing and communications for Pizza Inn, and I've been running it for about a year now. And my background actually is, funny enough, not necessarily in the restaurant business, except me being a server when I was in college. But I come from the space from television into nonprofit, into this brand, and I'm excited to be part of this brand. It's such a great legacy brand that has a lot going for it. Legacy brands usually don't look forward, but definitely Pizza Inn is looking forward, and how we can continue to maneuver in the marketplace and get to more people.
I love it. And ironically, Yvonne and I have mutual friends in the nonprofit and church space that we talked about before we hit the record button. So we probably spent 20 minutes talking about kind of our backstory and how do we have all these connections? But it's kind of cool that that now it gets brought back through the podcast and through restaurants. And so for those, Pizza Inn is, I don't know, you guys are in 20-ish states or thereabouts. So there's probably a large percentage of the audience that are less familiar with it. Why don't you talk through what is the brand before we jump into kind of what's new and exciting? Because I know you guys have, as a fan of the brand, I've enjoyed it here in Texas. And so selfishly, I like that part. But for those that have never been and are first-time listeners, or they've seen it and gone, hey, I see it there, but I've never gone in. What is it?
So yeah, Pizza Inn actually started in 1958, so it truly is legacy. And it did start in the Dallas area. It is what we like to call America's hometown pizza buffet, and it's not just pizza; it's pasta, salad, and all the great thing about that is our dough is made in-house, fresh every single day. Our house-made ranch is made fresh every single day. All of those veggies are cut in-house. And what we also have is our trademark dessert, which is our dessert pizza. And that can range away from our most favorite, which is the chocolate chip dessert, all the way to our very seasonal ones where we just finished our sandworm Halloween dessert, which was, on a dessert dough, but it was green Bavarian cream with nice gummy worms swimming all around there. And, it was nice and spooky and ooey and gooey. But we love the fact that we have those type of iconic things that are very special to Pizza Inn. And it is a place that people can come and enjoy, and there's something for everybody. And that's the beauty of it. Being a buffet, we have like up to 17 different types of pizzas, several different pastas and salads that people can choose from, and depending upon what time of day you come in, depends on the type of dessert you may get that's sitting on the buffet, but that's all for one price. And it's an all-day buffet for people to come and enjoy and taste and try and see what their favorites are and come back for more.
Love that. And I know one of the kind of signature pieces that that we've talked a little bit about is just kind of the fact that it is locally owned with a local operator that's kind of in, it's not, while it is a larger brand that's been around for a while, it's also not this big conglomerate that's, coming from all over the place. They're local owner operators that are kind of in the community. Is that a little bit about what makes you guys unique?
I would say so because it's amazing that a lot of what we've seen from some of these, like a Paducah or a Goldsboro, a Rocky Mount, it is continued to go through the family. So we are seeing that the next generation has taken over from parents or grandparents, and that they are stalwarts in their community. They're not just the restaurant, not just Pizza Inn, but they're involved in the community. They're part of sponsoring local athletics and festivals. And we even have one in Paducah, Larry Rust. He is known as the unofficial mayor of Paducah. People literally just come into the restaurant to be, is Larry here? Can I shake his hand? Not, they don't even want to eat. They just come in to say like, hi, Larry, what's going on? And that really is an important part of why we say it's a hometown pizza buffet, because it truly is. We don't have any corporate stores, but there is a brand element of who Pizza Inn is in those places, and we make sure that that carries from one to the next, so that your experience is, there's an expectation of experience, but also that you get the flavor of that community when they walk in there, and that people feel comfortable and seen, and they see themselves represented by the people that work there, and that people are hired from the community, and that they can come and see some friends.
I love that, and we noticed it really in 2020 and kind of the pandemic. It's like the restaurants are the center of the community, and when we lost some of that, it was a little bit tough. And so I love that you guys focus on that as really part of your value proposition. Yvonne, talk to me a little bit about, you guys ran a promotion over the summer. We're recording this on late 2025, and I'm saying late 2025 because we'll talk a little bit about kind of the reboot going into 2026. But talk to me a little bit about the promotion that you guys ran this summer, and kind of what was it, what happened, what are you guys thinking about, how did it work, and kind of talk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, definitely. So it was called the I Ate at Pizza Inn campaign. And yes, the number 8 was a play on I ate as well, and also the I ate and left no crumbs trend that you saw on social. It was actually started because we had 2 particular stores that had opened within the last probably year or so, but were having some struggles, crazy enough, because of social. Some things, unfortunate things happen, and we know how that goes. And in those smaller communities, that does tend to trend, and then it tends to go out into that community and take on a life of its own. And it was the 2 unfortunate isolated incidents in these 2 different stores, but it did really hurt them. And so we had tried a myriad of different types of promotions and ideas, and nothing was really working. And so my colleague and my partner in crime, Steve Garbett, he is our creative director. We were like racking our brains thinking about different things, and he came up with this really brilliant idea of very simple I ate at Pizza Inn, and $8 all-day buffet Monday through Friday to drive traffic in the door and help people to re-experience Pizza Inn who may have had bad taste in their mouth, no pun intended, from some of the stuff they saw online. And so we started this in Asheboro, North Carolina, and it took about a week for it to gain traction. And this was the first time in a long time that we went fully omni-channel. It was on CTV streaming, it was on YouTube, it was on Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, billboards, like traditional and more digital aspects, out in the yard signs, banners, like just hitting everywhere. It featured a spot that had the owners in it that said, come down and try everything we have. It's a really cute spot. And we all of a sudden took a week there. And I say that because the time that it's taken to catch on has lessened and lessened and lessened as we've tried it. And so we did that. And within 2 weeks, we saw a massive jump in their sales. And so we said, let's go and let's try this in West Plains, Missouri. Had the same kind of issue. It took literally 3 days there to catch on.
Wow.
And for those stores, within a month, they were seeing 30 to 40% positive comps. From where they
Wow.
were before. Exactly. And we were like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're like, how do I bottle this and do this more often, right?
Basically, that's what happened. And, the cool thing was when we talk about that idea of the hometown, they were seeing those owners inviting them to come in on that, saying, hey, come down, come down to Pizza Inn and have an $8 all day Monday through Friday. And that became really a key part of this, is that people identifying and saying, hey, I saw you on TV, like local celebrities. And so we said, we're going to try this. Who wants to be the early adopters? As we all know, people freak out with price promotions, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna lose money. We're like, okay, well, these two people didn't. So we had about 12 other early adopters is what we call them. And we ran this I8 campaign from May. The idea was to run it from May to July. So it did cross over our fiscal because ours is July to June. And same type of media we poured into all these markets. It was a very big endeavor. Still did, all those places had their own spots. We had a full shooting day in Asheboro. We flew everybody in, shot them all, sang the lines. People who thought they'd never be on TV were then on TV, and went full court press in these particular communities and these DMAs, and full media buy from TV to YouTube, all of the same things. And I can't even say that we thought it was like at first, like, wait, were we seeing something? Is something wrong with the data? We had one store who has actually consistently stayed at a 40% comp year over year. Till now, they're still running it. And they didn't want to stop. We even had to, we lowered even some of the media in there. And it was crazy to see. There was between on the lower end of a lift for stores, they saw 50%, 15%, up to a 50% lift. Even the owners were calling us saying, I can't believe this. And the crazy thing is, those people that started in the summer, it took about a day for that to catch on and people coming in. And they were coming in. And the best part of that is that we saw it kind of buoyed the whole system, but also even on the weekends when people are paying full price, they were still coming back, and they were willing to pay full price because the experience was so good, and the fact that the food met their expectations, that they just needed an opportunity to be incentivized to come in and experience it. And then they realized, hey, this is a really great deal. There is something here. It truly is where you can have family dinner and I don't have to hear the complaints about, I don't want that. And so that is really, we still, I would say, give or take, have had a couple people drop off and people come in. So we have 20% attrition of people who have stopped doing it. But otherwise, those original markets are still in the game, and the Asheboro and West Plains franchisees are actually owners of multiple locations, and they have added their other stores into that, and they have seen instantaneous jumps in their sales, which is really awesome to watch.
Well, and traditionally, when you would do a campaign, if you got a double digits lift in sales from a campaign sustainably, you're excited. So the fact that you guys have sustained it so many months later is pretty remarkable. I love the idea that you said that you just needed a reason for people to come back in and experience the brand. Is that kind of what you've heard kind of in the sentiment that's out there?
You have people who, especially in those Asheboro and West Plains markets where, that unfortunate incident had just sullied a little bit of people's brain. And, there's always that tiptoeing back into oh, should I go try it? That was one person's experience. I will say probably the best thing is that the West Plains particularly went from, we hate this place, we're not going back because there was that one incident, to in this summer being voted the best place for families with kids to come and eat by their West Plains Journal.
That's incredible.
It's this full circle moment of saying, people went back in because of this deal, but then they realized, oh no, this place is really good. And they have kind of put that in the rearview mirror and continued to move forward. So yeah, it definitely has been that sentiment. They just needed a reminder, of sorts, when it's a lot of noise out there, and we were able to break through the noise with not only this deal, but with the campaign and having it very simple. We even had shirts for people who came in the beginning. They were giving away shirts and stickers and to people that would come, and people are slapping those on their notebooks, their water bottles, cars, wearing the shirts out. And that just makes a difference.
Well, and I think that the one thing that you also said, Yvonne, when you were sharing about it is they also came in and the product was good. The service was good. The selection was good. Because I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen marketers go drive a whole bunch of demand, but then the operations isn't ready. Supply chain isn't ready. The store isn't ready. The staffing is not ready. So I'd love for you to talk our listeners through, I guess, the cautionary tales that you might have. This is, how do you need to think about this? Because generating a whole bunch of demand, that's a one-time demand. You spent all of this money on ad spend. You spent all of this money on spots and filming and production and all of this. But if it doesn't keep them coming back for the second and third and fourth visit, it's all for naught. And so I'd love to have you share a little bit about kind of, even as a brand, as you guys are thinking through that, what are some things that others that are listening need to consider when they're going to go do this? Because it clearly has worked for Pizza Inn, and I'd love for you to help our listeners make sure that they understand that.
Yeah, definitely. Ironically, it's a great time that you asked this, because we just had a chat with our system who are looking to do it, and we're going to talk about 2026. That we did. I will admit, we did have a couple stores that some of those issues were exacerbated, and they had to deal with that on the spot. So we use Tattle for our
Guest feedback?
Yeah, our guest feedback and the aggregation of that, because we have the reputation management system, so it pulls from all the different places. And we were able to really start to see, hey, these are some of the trending issues, that then we were able to go to those particular stores. One actually fired their manager in the middle of the whole thing and replaced leadership.
But at the end of the day, you have to be willing to make those decisions, because if you don't bring them back in, then you're going to struggle. Sorry, I'll let you keep going. But yeah, I think it's so critical that you do that. And it's hard, but it's what needs to be done, because if they come and never come back a second time, it's all for naught.
Yeah, and they can actually pass that word of mouth. It's still the strongest form of marketing there is. And if that happens, that can ruin the whole thing. So for us, it really is having these kind of heart-to-heart talks with our system to say, this is the expectation, this is all of the media we are doing. However, these are the bigger complaints that we have seen come in, food not being on the buffet, cleanliness of bathrooms, because if they see that a bathroom's dirty, they're going to think something about the kitchen. And so really being mindful of understanding, if you're running this Monday through Friday, 11 to 8, 11 to 9, you need to have the proper staffing. You need to be reading those Tattle things every single day. And we have our FBCs, our franchise business consultants, that have groups that they are checking them on the daily to make sure that they're tracking their particular stores that are participating in this, out on obviously the whole system too, but these specific stores. So these are some lessons learned that we have, that we're moving into the next iteration of it with, is that we have created an entire expectation chart for everybody. We have met with everybody participating and walked them through the entire system of, we can lead a horse to water, but if the drink is terrible, they're not coming back. And so the operations and the supply chain, it's like, you need to make sure you are stocked, that the supply chain is that you're not going back there and having to make 10 pizzas while you have 10 people waiting at the buffet, that you make sure that your supply is up and ready the week before you start, and that the staff is fully informed as what the time is, that everybody has been walked through the entire thing, that you have staff meetings at the beginning of every week to make sure everybody knows what is expected of them and how the staff schedule will go. And really, really watch those reviews and what a customer's saying about, are they having a great one, or are they having a below 3, star thing. So that is part of our kind of move forward plan, is for people to understand operationally what are all the things that need to be happening on a weekly basis as you move forward. And, obviously the franchise owners can't be there all the time. And so you're working with your management and your GMs to make sure that they are the ones being well informed of everything as well. So we have an entire training system called Pizzapedia that we have created, this LMS system that our training manager has created, and everything is living on there. So, we go back and we create these management information packets. We have courses that we will re-enroll people in to make sure that they're aware, that we have, one sheets and documents and, just resource guides to help them walk through all that. But at the end of the day, it truly is making sure that we're checking in personally and saying, hey guys, like, we're seeing a little bit of a dip here. What's going on? We get sales data every single day for all of these stores. And so we're able to share that with them so they can start to track in real time. Where are they seeing a lift and where are they seeing a dip? And is that correlating to stuff that is happening when they look at their reviews? So.
Yep. Well, Alex has been on the show, the founder of Tattle. He's great. We've also had Ovation, which is one of their competitors, has been on the show. I think anybody that's not doing guest feedback, real-time guest feedback, and we've also had multiple review management sites out there where it's just, hey, they're helping you with reviews and helping you with responses. it's so critical to being able to make informed decisions, like you said. Tell me a little bit more about kind of, you've alluded to it. We're going into 2026. I know we'll be releasing this kind of right before or right in the middle of your guys' campaign, but you guys obviously are ramping to do this again or do this system wide. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about kind of what, where, why, how, it's, I don't say it's a little bit unique. It's pizza at a buffet, a little bit different, than just pizzas for takeout. And so I'd love for you to kind of talk a little bit about kind of what you guys are thinking and what your expectations are going into kind of the new year.
Yeah, definitely. So when we were at our convention in July, we did present all this information, and Brandon, our CEO, was, as you can imagine, over the moon, as well as our board. Our chairman was quite pleased seeing these sales, but it was an opportunity for us to really share with some of those people who were hesitant about, would this actually hurt my sales or would it buoy them? And we were actually able to show real life data and insights as to what it actually did for those particular stores, and had anecdotal feedback from those particular owners that were there on site to discuss it. So to kick off 2026, which we know is traditionally a little bit of a slower time because people have just spent all of their money during the holidays, we wanted to kick this off system-wide for January, to have a 4-week concentrated campaign that is I ate at Pizza Inn, $8 buffet, Monday through Friday all day, for as many of our stores in our system, buffet stores that were willing to take part. And we are happy to say that more than half the system is taking part in that, which is really great. I put that out to the system and they were all excited to be a part of it. And so we are really blowing this out. We will have a TV spot for every single one of those TVs.
Wow. Somebody's got some work to do over the next few weeks then, sounds like.
It has been quite the strategy person that I am. I was like, we have been meeting on this since August to get this all set, and we have an agency that is helping us with production. Our creative director is like fully immersed. But yes, so we will be involving every single one of these franchise owners in their spot for their stores. Some are multiple location owners, so it's really exciting. But we will have TV, we'll have social, we will have YouTube, we'll have billboards where applicable, box toppers, yard signs, banners, all of this going, as well as in-store creative, organic creative that we'll be pushing, and t-shirts. I know I'll share that the name of it, the little proposition of it's changed a bit, it's evolved. So we are looking forward to this all you can eat as the evolution, again using the 8, but having stuffed t-shirts that have this new moniker on it, and really pushing the social aspect of it this time to start to get user-generated content from people being involved. So this is all a big part of the experiment to push everybody into Pizza Inn, especially as the economy we know is a little bit, up and down for people, and disposable income is not necessarily what a lot of people have a lot of, but they still can go out and enjoy a good meal for $8 in their community with their family. And we want Pizza Inn to be that place. So this really is an entire kind of wrapping the entire community in Pizza Inn. But using all of those channels we have at our disposal is going to be really important, not just for those 44 stores participating, but for the brand in general. Because when you have that many stores running a promotion like this, and they're on TV and they're on social and they're on YouTube, the lift for the brand in general is just going to be something that we anticipate will be high. So it's not just on these stores that are participating to be at a high operational level, it's for all our stores to be at a high operational level. And we're looking to open by the end of our fiscal year coming in July, that we have anywhere between 12 to 16 new stores open. And so that's really exciting to see that this is an opportunity for us to truly push for the brand and show people that you can still get a really great quality meal and it doesn't have to break your bank.
Yeah. One last kind of thread that I'd love to have you talk about, because I think you guys did a lot of stuff really right. Outside of the fact that it's a great promotion, you guys did a lot of things. The thing I find in franchise restaurant groups from time to time is that they don't prepare, and they shotgun approach, and they throw things out there, and then the franchisees get stuck either having to digest them. I was just at a a partner conference this week, actually. And I had grumbling franchisees in one corner and another group that's like, I don't know that I want to be here anymore. And I watched it because there's not a cohesive way that they're involving the franchisees in the success. They're not showing the success. They're not getting them involved in the process. And I'd love to have you kind of share the thought process from the leadership perspective as you guys go into making these changes, because it is holistic. It's not just your team that's doing the work. While you guys did a lot of work to get the spots going and the ideas and the creation, you also needed operations to be involved. You needed supply chain to be involved. You needed, the franchisees to be involved. There's so many different moving parts and pieces, and any one of them fall down, ultimately the guest experience suffers and it doesn't drive the results. And so I'd love for you to talk our listeners through. They've gotten to learn a little bit about what you guys are doing at Pizza Inn, but why don't you educate them on kind of how are you guys thinking about this holistically so that they may be able to take, if they're a restaurant operator and they're thinking about doing these things, I'd love to have you educate them a little bit on how you guys did that.
Yeah, definitely. So from a leadership perspective, all of us being, it's not just our CEO, Brandon, saying like, I'm going to do this. It's like, hey, let's come up with some ideas that can resonate. And then we have, it's myself, marketing, our creative director, operations, our supply chain head, our person that oversees all our training, making sure that we're communicating where are the gaps, where are we seeing the gaps. But we also have a franchise leader committee that is comprised of some of our small and large, and they represent different people from our actual franchise owners. We have
you guys are taking feedback, no different than you have guest feedback. You guys are getting franchise feedback. I love that.
Yeah, so we present stuff like this to them, and some of them will say, well, I don't want to do it at my store, but I think if people did this, make sure you have X, Y, and Z. And, this may be a problem. People may not understand, and so we're able to consolidate, for us being professionals in our field and looking at, all the little different things that we control, but then getting that real-time feedback from our franchise leaders and the people who were the early adopters and feeding back in. We talk to them and say, what were the issues here? Where are you seeing gaps? Like, what else, other things do you need? And that has informed us for this next iteration of it. Myself and the creative director realized that we could do some more streamlining with our marketing things, but that we could add in other aspects to it. That, how do we involve the franchisees? Do they really need t-shirts? I was like, oh, it's expensive, so I'm not going to do t-shirts. And they were like, we need t-shirts. It sounds kind of silly to say, but that was a thing from the franchisee saying like, this makes a difference and we're all uniformed out and we're selling this. There is a elevation of
there's a buy-in.
Yeah, there's a total buy-in. Stickers became a huge thing, and I thought stickers will be good. Well, we are evolving to bumper stickers this time. That whole thing is...
You're not allowed to talk to my marketing girl. She's always got stickers that are showing up in my freaking inbox. And I'm like, why? I don't want stickers. Leave me alone. But I'm teasing. But her and I joke about it all the time because people love them. They get excited about them. And you want that. You want that excitement. You want that momentum, right?
Yeah, that's free advertisement. They put that on their car. People put that on whatever, and, I come from that world, especially like in the sports world. When I was at AYSO before, we used to say, kids are wearing their jerseys, not just on the field, they're wearing them to church and they're wearing them to school, they're wearing them to the grocery store. They're selling your brand all the time. So, that's really a part of this. But, for us, it is like saying, yes, we're going to do in our professional insights and looking at that stuff, where's some of the market trends, but we also very much consider the anecdotal data and feedback from boots on the ground to really inform us. And our franchise business consultants do such a great job of checking in with our owners and having those chats. We have a weekly ops meeting with all of us, and we go through all of that. All the different departments are able to talk through and really be able to touch point, because if we are not communicating on the regular internally, we're not going to be able to put the fires out where we see them. And I am somebody that is all about, you have to be cross-departmentally working together in order for something like this to actually work. Because I have also been on the other side where things are done in a vacuum. And when they're done in a vacuum, they are pretty much going to fail because you don't have the other feedback. And so this has really been a labor for everyone involved in the office, but also on the ground. And even when the people that decided to come in for this next iteration, we do have about 13 of those stores that said, I just want to do lunch because we're not sure about. So I had a system created that said, okay, you can either do 11 to 4 or you can do all day. That's it. That's how it's going to work. And reason being is because when you have all these other little nuanced things, the control goes a little bit out the window. And so saying, here are 2 programs that you can be involved in. There is no, we're not mixing and matching. You either do one or the other. And that's what the creative is going to do. That's what all this is going to do. And we're going to check in with you to walk through and see, has this been successful? So we have true data insights on that. But again, like I said, it has to start from top down. And Brandon is very much a person about make sure that all the right people are working on this together and that you're talking to the right people on the ground to make sure that all of this matches, not just saying, do this and hope it works. It's no, do this, and how do we make sure that we adjust in the middle to make sure that it's working to its highest potential.
I love those ideas, and thank you for sharing. One last thought, just kind of on the marketing front before we ask people, how to get in touch is, how do you guys make, I was listening to the CEO of Chili's talk about kind of the craveability and the Instagrammability of their food. I know as somebody in marketing, getting others to be talking about it, so it's not all paid ads. Obviously, they got to have a good experience, but how do you guys even consider that and the guests, the younger guests and guests in general that hadn't experienced it, to be able to go out and talk digitally about the brand? How do you guys think about that? Is it your green dessert that's got the gummy worms floating through it, which is probably part of it? But I'd love at least your thoughts on, when you guys are designing these programs, you also want the tail to continue to run on social, not just be all paid ads, because it's expensive long term.
100%. Actually, what we were fortunate enough in working with our PR firm for this first round that we did is that we were actually able to get some influencers in those particular communities to go in and experience the entire experience of having an $8 buffet, what they could get there, and then they created a story that we were able to share. So we have that a few times. So we are constantly looking at traditional PR avenues as well as the influencer avenue. Now the influencer market can get a little bit weird, right? So we're very specific about understanding, hey, are they a part of that community? Will they resonate? Do they have a following that makes sense? And it's still family friendly. And we were really happy to see that did really get some traction. And that was us pitching, I will say. And interesting enough, with the sandworm dessert, we had about 3 people who just themselves, without us pitching, and they went in and they did a whole story, and they then tagged us to collab on reviewing the sandworm dessert, and they had fun and they were able to show it. We are part of my journey coming into here was to truly build up our social again, and to get people to interact with us and have those young families interact, especially on Instagram. We don't have a TikTok right now, but Instagram, and our older group of folks that come in, they are on Facebook. However, there's like a weird swing. Sometimes it's younger folks being on Facebook, but they really engage as well, and they're able to share. Every time we post something, there's comments, they're tagging each other, they're coming. So we are really trying to, we actually just ran in between the IA in the summer and our sandworm, we were able to partner up with Dr. Pepper and the SEC to bring Fansville to life in our stores, in our buffet stores. So we brought Fansville, as we all know for college football, to life in our stores. And part of that was actually building, we had a total sweepstakes entry to go to the SEC championship, which we had nearly 3,000 people enter that.
Wow.
And that is a championship tickets, all expense paid trip to the game, as well as the Dr. Pepper Fansville experience on the ground there. But what we did is we created an entire selfie station of Fansville. And we asked people to take their photo and post it and tag us, and they were entered to win weekly prizes of Dr. Pepper and Fansville promo items that we actually were able to partner with them to give away. And so that's part of this evolution as we're trying to build this user-generated content, is why we had t-shirts, why we have stickers, why we have share your experience with us and be able to talk about it in that way. And so as we have kind of ventured into this field, we're starting to see a little bit more of people are just willingly doing it themselves to come in because they love Pizza Inn and they enjoy it. So it's something we're definitely going to be taking advantage of as we work into January. But beyond, where we have our Peeps dessert coming back, which is actually Peeps on a dessert. And it was a test we did this year, and we didn't even last till Easter. It sold out in these 29 stores in like a week and change. And this year we actually forecasted out and it will be system wide through like 3 weeks leading up to Easter. So we hope it stays there. But those are stuff like, things like that where we're engaging our customers to say, you tell us what you love about Pizza Inn. You share your story. I'm really trying to tap into athletic teams, the youth, the high school teams coming in and joining. And we have several that do fundraisers with us in store. And so really just helping educate owners is also me and my team telling them, hey, make sure they're tagging us. Make sure if they're sharing, they are tagging us so we can reshare their story and show that amplification of Pizza Inn throughout the country.
Yeah, I love that. Again, I think you're taking an older brand that's, been around 60 plus years. And now, it's been a legacy that a lot of people grew up with, and now reintroducing it in a way that it can stay as part of their rotation, which I think, again, is just, you got to get in front of them again, and you got to give them some reason to come in. And once they come in, they're like, why have I not been coming in? So thank you so much for sharing. How do people learn more if they're at a place where they're like, I need to get into a Pizza Inn, I need my $8 buffet, or I'm now in the market looking for a new franchise group and you guys are looking to grow? How do they engage? What does that look like? And where would you send them next?
So if you're looking for a Pizza Inn in your area, you can go to pizzainn.com. You can also download our app. It's on iOS and the Google Play Store. So we have our Pizza Inn app. You can look up Pizza Inn and you'll be able to download that, and you can order from the app too. And next year we'll be introducing our loyalty program. But if they are interested in franchise and development, we actually do have a development part of our website. So if they go on Pizza Inn, if you scroll down to the bottom, there'll be franchise information, and we have an entire development team that is ready and willing to chat. They are very busy right now. As I said, we have potentially 16 new stores opening this year. So that is how they could get in touch. But definitely follow us on social, Instagram, and our corporate page is Pizza Inn, but every single store has their own Facebook page at least, and Instagram. But for us on the corporate side, it's Pizza Inn for both. And follow along so you can see all the deals and what we have coming, exciting stuff. But yeah, if you go to the website, find location and find your local Pizza Inn, even when you're traveling. So it's all there.
I love it. And I love that you came on and shared the story, shared a lot of insights that I know lots of brands will resonate with and be able to do for themselves. And so thank you for sharing kind of where you guys are at. Should be releasing kind of late this year, early next year. So by the time this comes out, you guys should be seeing this new campaign going out. Learn something from it, continue to grow. Yvonne, thank you for sharing. To our listeners, guys, like I said, you guys have got lots of choices, so thanks for hanging out and make it a great day.
Yeah, thank you so much.